You're watching TVC Breakfast. Let's get to our next discussion now. A person who buys goods, products or service is called a consumer, and this cuts across every sector of the economy. But how many people know their rights as a consumer? The 15th of March has been set aside to enlighten consumers on their purchasing rights. It demands that the rights of all consumers be respected and protected against market abuse and social injustices. This year, the theme is Fair Digital Finance, which focuses on generating new consumer-centered insights and ensuring a digital finance that is inclusive, safe, data protected, private, and sustainable. So that's the crux of our discussion next. So joining me now in the studio is a lawyer, and he's also the chairman, board of the United States Government Exchange Alumni Association, Dan Okoye. It's nice to have you join me this morning.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Pleased to be here.
Great. Now, let's talk about the issue of rights. It's a very common thing to say, I know my rights, or I have my rights, is within my rights to do this and do that. But in the context of a consumer, how much of our rights do we really know, especially here in Nigeria?
Well, basically, just like most Nigerians, the average consumer does not really know his rights.
Okay.
The right to be informed, the right to seek redress, the right to knowledge. Essentially, the average consumer is abused. If you see most of our products, pharmaceuticals, medications, the expiry date is usually concealed. For some of them, I had to even use my phone. You snap, you now try to enlarge it,
so you could see very well
the expiry date. Even services. So the consumer is not informed, and it's a right and not a privilege. A consumer ought to be informed.
Well, in the eyes of the law, how protected are the rights of a consumer?
Well, in Nigeria, we have an enabling law, the federal law. That's the CAP 25 Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, establishing the Federal Competition, Consumer and Consumer Protection Commission.
Okay.
That's the apex body based in Abuja. It actually was established in 1992 by an act, but they became operational. It became operational in 1999. I've had dealings with them on behalf of clients. But the fact is that in their approach, I see their approach as more of mediation. When you talk to a producer of goods and say, I bought a defective merchandise, I have not used it, I never used it from day one, what do I do? They will usually call the producer. It's like they plead with the producer to remedy the situation. Quite unlike what you have in the United States, where they do sanction. I don't know any producer, including the government, that has been sanctioned, even though their decision may help you in court. But we know the bottlenecks of our judicial system.
But wouldn't that make sense if one way or the other they are not getting the producer sanctioned, and they are able to get the producer to respond to the consumer? Would that not be a win-win for all?
It will be a win-win for all if the producer is not recalcitrant.
Okay.
If he's fair-minded.
Okay.
They've resolved a lot of cases because they bring the facts to bear. They are doing well, but I'm privileged to know one of their directors who was a schoolmate at the law school. I spoke to him during the last MBA conference in Port Harcourt. I said, I want to see you buy it. They have to buy it. Even in medical services. A young man the other day was not feeling fine. He ran to a hospital in Ikeja. I won't mention the name of the hospital because it's still a live case. The doctor examined him and said, you have stress. Gave him some medications and said, go home. He got home. Then the wife called me, who is related to me, and said, see the way my husband is. So I remembered the acronym FAST when an onset of stroke. I said, this will likely be stroke. He should be taken back to the hospital. They took him to Lasuth. This happened last year. Of course, it was stroke. Meanwhile, it took another 2 or 3 hours to get to Lasuth before he was finally, they gave him some medications and referred him to FMC, Ebutemeta, where they did a fantastic work. He's still recovering. But that first port of call, the doctor, obviously, as I said, it's a live case. It will be tested both with FCCPC and other bodies. If the doctor had given the right service, even if he doesn't know what to do, the least he could have done, since it's Ikeja, was to refer the patient to a tertiary hospital.
Seeing the circumstance that the patient is faced with.
And he said that it was just stress.
All right. So in all of this, is it justiciable? Is the rights of a consumer justiciable under the law if cases like this happen? For instance, you were citing an instance earlier on where you buy a product and you don't like it, or it falls short of standards and all of that. Is it to the commission that you report to, or you go to court, or what's supposed to be the process?
Well, it's faster if you go through the commission, but the right is justiciable. Okay. You can actually approach the court, but approaching the court will involve money. You may need to get a lawyer, file processes, but the commission usually accepts written complaints from ordinary Nigerians. You don't need to have a lawyer. If you have, good, to approach the commission. But I don't know how they will act if the producer of the good is the government itself. I don't know. But they usually do a good job. They do.
But how long does it take before one can get some level of redress if you're reporting a case of not being satisfied or your rights being breached as a consumer?
It goes back to how both parties take the issue of resolving the challenge. If there is a meeting and the complainant doesn't come, nothing happens. If the producer fails to come or send somebody who is not in a position to speak on their behalf, nothing happens. There was one I was involved in. They sent an external solicitor without a lawyer. We said no. The commission refused to give him audience in Ikeja GRA. And then the company later now, in subsequent meetings, sent a general manager. We are making traction, but it's not been resolved, and it's more than 2 years.
Wow.
It's more than 2 years.
So is that a typical case?
No, it can be shorter. This one is also a little bit complex.
All right.
Because of the value of what is involved.
All right. Now, on a day like this that we are supposed to commemorate the rights of a consumer, how best can we commemorate a day like this, and what should we be looking at?
Well, consumers should sit up. Nothing is given free. The discourse increasing electricity tariff without notice. They did that surreptitiously. Yesterday on live radio, most Lagosians were commenting about it. You get your February bill in March, you see that the parameters have changed. The billing per kilowatt hour has gone up. Where is it done? It's not done in any civilized world. There should be notice of increment. And possibly they have this session organized by NEC where they all talk. Consumers will come. Are you in band A, band B, C, D, E? How many hours
of electricity
do you have?
Enjoy, yeah?
So what do you have to pay? None of such was done. And they just had to jack up the rates. It's not fair. It's not fair on Nigerians. It's not fair on the average consumer. That shouldn't be the case. And then consumers should be able to come together and challenge some of these illegalities. The avenue is there, but usually when certain things are done, you know, in Nigeria we are so religious. Even if it results in loss of life, they will tell you it's the will of God. It's better you just leave them.
Like they say on the street, sometimes they say at all I am bad, you know. Like they say half bread is better than none. You know, Nigerians are quite used to that, and that really has to change for people to express themselves and get the best of whatever products they have. Dan Okoye, thank you so much for coming on the program this morning.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you. Right. We're speaking with Dan Okoye, a lawyer and the chairman of the board of United States Government Exchange Alumni Association. Thank you very much for talking to us this morning.